the dashboard. Take a look at your screen. This is the very first page you'll see every time you log in. Now, if you're a brand new user, don't be surprised to find this space completely empty at first. That's totally normal. Think of the dashboard as a living space as you start working in the platform, registering activities and moving through the different sections. This page will naturally start to fill up with relevant, useful information pulled from everywhere you've been active. So what's the real purpose behind this page? Simple. The dashboard is your command center. It's designed to keep everything organized and clearly laid out, so that at a glance, anytime, any day, you know exactly what opportunities, activities, and information are available to you. Now let's orient ourselves. How do you know you're actually on the dashboard? Just look to the left-hand side of your screen. That's your main navigation menu. You'll see Dashboard listed right alongside the other core sections of the system: Buying, CRM, Analytics, and Admin. And here's the thing. Each of these sections isn't just a single page. They open up into their own subsections packed with specific tools and detailed information. Everything has been structured intentionally, so that no matter what you're working on, you can move efficiently and find exactly what you need, without wasting time. Let's shift our attention now to the top right corner of the screen. This is where you'll find your account icon, your personal profile logo. Click on it and you'll unlock access to your profile settings, where you can manage your personal information. While you're there, you'll also notice something handy: the option to toggle between display themes, day mode or night mode, so you can customize your visual experience and work comfortably, whether you prefer a bright interface or something easier on the eyes. And that's just the beginning. As we move forward in this tutorial, we're going to dive deeper into each of these sections one by one, and you'll start to see how all these features connect and work together to support your day-to-day activity. Let's get started. Alright, let's move forward and take a deeper look inside the Orders menu. This is where a lot of the real action happens. When you open this menu, you'll notice 5 distinct options waiting for you: quotes, orders, credit notes, invoices, and statistics. Now, if you're a new user, chances are every single one of these sections is going to look completely empty right now. And that's perfectly fine. There's simply no data yet because you haven't started registering activity. Totally normal, so don't worry. To really understand what these tools are for, let's step back for a second and talk about how our daily workflow actually looks. It usually all begins the same way. A client sends us a list. This list is essentially their offer, their sales proposition. Our job? Dig into that list, analyze it carefully, and come back with the best possible offer we can put together. Why does this matter so much? Because this is the engine that drives everything. It lets us move forward with the purchase, hit our targets, and yes, at the end of the month, it's what earns us our commission. So the real question is, how do we actually manage this process inside the system? That's where Quotes comes in. And it's our very first tool in this workflow. This is the space where we either upload the client's list directly into the system, or, if needed, build the quotation ourselves from scratch. Now, which path you take really depends on one thing: whether the client has already sent over a list with proper usable part numbers. If the list is clean and ready to go, great, we can work with it right away. But if you're even a little unsure whether all the necessary part numbers are actually there, that's your cue to slow down and check everything carefully before moving forward. Which brings us to an important question. What exactly is a part number? Think of it as a unique fingerprint for a product. It's a code, sometimes numbers, sometimes letters, often a mix of both, that identifies one specific item and only that item. And here's the golden rule. That code is sacred. It must always be entered as one single complete unit. Never split it up, never reformat it, never rewrite it in pieces. It stays exactly as it is. And look, if you ever come across a part number, or really any piece of information in the client's list that doesn't quite make sense to you, don't stress. You've got backup. Tools like Google with AI section or ChatGPT are right there to help you investigate. Just copy that unclear code or line of text. Do a little digging, understand what you're looking at, and only then enter it into the system. What you need is writing what you are looking for. For example, toner, drum, or ink. Then mention the model description or any other provided description and finish up with mentioning the color and add the question, part number. Why go through all this trouble up front? Because here's the truth. The accuracy of what we input at this very first stage, the quotation stage, sets the tone for everything that follows. Get it right here, and everything downstream runs smoothly. The process of opening a list is actually quite straightforward, but there is one important point to pay attention to. As soon as you select the company, you will see two options. The first one is Quote Document, and just below it, you will find Import Items from Spreadsheet. If you choose Quote Document, you can upload the document provided by the client, and Polina will take care of processing and quoting it for you. On the other hand, if the list is already prepared with the correct part numbers and you don't want to wait, you can choose Import Items from Spreadsheet. From there, you can upload the list directly into the system and proceed with creating the quote independently. So in short, the choice depends on the format and readiness of the list. If the document needs to be processed, use Quote Document and let Polina handle it. If the spreadsheet is already prepared with the correct part numbers, import it yourself and create the quote directly. Now let's go back to the quotation process. I'll start by uploading the list, making sure that I complete all the required information before opening the quote. One detail that is particularly important is the vendor contact, so make sure this information is filled in correctly. In this example, I have uploaded the list for back office so that she can prepare the quotation. However, because I know that the list already contains only valid part numbers that are ready to use, I could also choose to create the quote myself. For now, we'll keep this list as our target and continue with the process. Once the list is uploaded, pay close attention to the column mapping. On the left-hand side, we have the column names that we are assigning. On the right-hand side, we can see the actual part numbers contained in each column. These two sides need to correspond perfectly. If we don't see the expected part numbers on the right-hand side, it usually means that we have selected the wrong column name on the left. In that case, we need to go back and identify the correct column before continuing. So, always remember, the column name on the left must accurately match the information contained in the corresponding column on the right. Once everything looks correct, take a moment to double-check the mapping before moving forward. The system will give us one more opportunity in the next step to confirm that all the information has been understood and interpreted correctly. This is an important verification step, so make sure everything is correct before proceeding with the quotation. And as we can see here, we now have the information correctly identified and ready for the next step. Once everything is completed, Polina will review and confirm all the items. You will also notice that she may leave a comment with additional information or instructions. Make sure to check these comments carefully, as they may contain important details about the quotation or the items that need your attention. Once you have reviewed her comments and everything is clear, you can continue with the next step of the quotation process. Why do some items show up with a triangle warning when we generate a quotation? Let's say we have a list of items and we're trying to quote them automatically, but some items keep coming back with a triangle icon instead of a price. Here's why that happens, and how to fix it. The triangle means the system doesn't recognize that part number. It's not matching anything in our SKU database, so the quotation engine has nothing to pull a price from. How to check and fix it manually. Take the part number from the list. Search for it directly in our system. If it's not found, that confirms why the triangle appeared. The part number as written isn't registered as valid in our SKU database. If it is found under a slightly different format, that's our correct registered part number. Copy it exactly as it appears in the system and paste it into our reference column. just like we've done with the others. A quick example, Epson ink cartridges. We already know the standard format for these. It follows the pattern. T13 plus the part number provided, C13T6032, plus the specific ending code. So when we see an Epson part number that doesn't match this pattern, that's often the clue that it needs correcting. Bottom line, for a short list like this, doing it manually, checking each part number one by one against the SKU database is fast enough and get the job done. For longer lists, we'd want a different approach, but we'll get to that. For same purpose of part, number identification, you can use the Buying Studio on the left menu. Important note, if the client requests the offer in the exact chronological order they provided, all you need to do is add the items one by one, then click and drag to reorder them, making sure the final sequence respects the order the client originally gave you. Quick recap. Where we are so far. Let's take a moment to review what we've covered up to this point. Step 1. We received the list from the client. Step 2. We moved to quotation. This means opening a quote so the assistant can insert the part numbers and the manager can then provide the prices. Now we stay at this step 2 until the client gives the confirmation to sell or not the stock to us. At that stage, we will go to next step number 3. That I will explain later. Now here's a tip to keep the process moving faster. If you already have a list with complete verified part numbers, you can quote it yourself without waiting in line for assistance. And if a list is almost complete, say every part number is there except 2 or 3, quote it anyway. Just leave a comment noting which part numbers, for example X, Y, and Z, still need to be matched, and that you're requesting assistance for those specific ones. This way, the rest of the offer isn't held up. Once the quotation is complete, it moves to your manager. You will see a comment about quotation details. They will be left by the assistant doing quotation, but if it was you to make the quotation, then you will be the one to confirm. Were all the items added to the quotation list, or some of them were problem, and you request help in solving it. Here's something important to keep in mind. When you're preparing that price offer, you need to know exactly what's inside the lot. Some items may be sold as take all, others may be available for individual selection based on your interest. Some items might be listed as D grade, which depending on the supplier could simply mean an item without its original box. All of this information needs to be captured in the comments section before your manager steps in to build the offer. This is especially true for critical details like a one-time bid, meaning there is no room for negotiation, no second round, and no counteroffer. In that case, the price you submit has to be your absolute best offer right from the start. So make sure every one of these details, the lot conditions, the bidding terms, everything, is clearly written into the comments. Now, let's move on to something equally important: how to keep this deal visible. How to label it correctly, place it where it belongs in our system, so nothing gets lost out of sight, and so we never delay receiving the invoice or requesting the pickup. Now, pay close attention to this menu, because it contains several useful filters to help you manage your deals. First, there's the priority filter. Every deal can be assigned one of 4 priorities: low, normal, high, or exceptional. High and exceptional priorities are usually set by your manager, and their purpose is simple: to flag deals that need special attention, so they keep moving forward instead of sitting unattended. You can also filter deals by commodity or product category to help keep things organized. Another key filter is the deal status. At this stage, the deal will show the status, quotation in progress. It stays in that status throughout the quotation process, right up until you convert the deal into a PO, or purchase order. Let's see once again how to fast upload a list and how to sign the quotation done and the info necessary to take a decision regarding a stock offer. Said, all this now, let's talk about one of the most important workflows you'll be using every single day: how to actually edit and manage prices while a deal is still in the quotation stage. Remember, as long as a deal hasn't closed yet, it's still considered to be in negotiation. And during this stage, prices are fluid. They can absolutely change as you go back and forth with the client and reach an agreement together. So how do you actually change a price? It's simple. Just click on the 3 dots next to the item, then select Edit. From there, you'll be able to modify the price directly. Let's say, for example, the client agrees on 50 euros. You'll double-click into the field, type in 50 euros, and then click Save Changes. Done. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Once you've locked in a price with the client, meaning it's been fully discussed and agreed upon, you don't want to leave it floating around, open to being accidentally changed later. That's where the lock feature comes in. Locking a price sends a clear signal. This number is final, it's been agreed upon, and it will not be renegotiated. Think of it as sealing the deal on that specific line item. Why does this matter so much? Because eventually, once you've finished negotiating and locking in all your prices, you'll want to move forward and actually purchase the items you and the client have agreed on. And this is where things get serious. Before you can click that Convert to PO button, you first need to select the items you want to convert, and then confirm them. And notice something important. The Convert to PO button will appear green, and that's intentional. It's there to prevent you from accidentally clicking it too soon. Because here's the truth. Once you convert a list into a PO, that's it. There's no going back. All prices become frozen, locked, permanently. You will have zero ability to make any further changes. This is a decisive, final moment in the process, and it should never happen prematurely. Before you take this step, make absolutely sure that everything has been fully discussed and confirmed with the client, because once you convert, the system simply won't allow any edits, no exceptions. So let's walk through it as if we've done everything correctly. We've discussed our prices, we've locked in what needed to be locked, and now we're ready to close the deal. We select the items we want to move forward with, and we confirm them. The moment I click Confirm, watch what happens. The Convert to PO button lights up, turns fully colored, and that's my signal. I'm ready. From this point forward, I can move confidently to create the official PO and present it to the client with full professionalism and confidence. What you need to understand is that everything in the system moves from left to right, strictly according to the workflow represented in this menu. You will start with a list, which will first appear under quotes. At this stage, the deal must remain in the status quotation in progress. The date associated with the quotation is also important because it allows you to monitor how long the deal has been in progress. If the quotation is taking too long, you can follow up with the assistant, ask for support, and make sure the process continues moving forward. At the same time, it is important to keep the client informed. Let the client know that you are actively working on the list and that you are waiting for the quotation to be completed. This helps maintain communication and keeps the client engaged while the quotation is being prepared. Once the quotation and negotiation is completed, the manager in charge for the deal can convert the selected items into a PO. To do this, Simply select the items you want to continue working on, confirm your selection, and then click Convert to PO in the upper right corner of the screen. Once you make this conversion, the deal will receive its PO number, and its status will change to Converted to PO. From this point onward, you are no longer just looking at a quotation. You are actively working on the deal and negotiating the prices. Alright, let's talk about how these two sections, quotes and orders, actually work together, because understanding this distinction is key to managing your daily workflow. Here's the rule to remember. Any deal that's still in open negotiation, Petosoje, meaning nothing has been finalized yet, lives in the quotes section. That's your active pipeline, your work in progress. Now, once a deal moves forward and a PO gets created, it graduates into orders. And how do you know a PO has actually been created? Simple. Look for the PO number, which you'll find in the second column right under the deal number column. That's your visual confirmation. So here's how a smart daily routine looks. Start your day in quotes and take a look at everything that's currently in progress. Every negotiation still open. Then move over to orders. This section is different when it's strictly for deals you've already closed. The ones where you now need to nail down the PO and the dimensions. Right there, you'll see the PO number, the date the deal was closed, and even when the last message was exchanged. It's a small detail, but it's incredibly powerful. It means you'll never accidentally lose track of a deal or forget where things stand. Now, if you scroll the menu to the right, you'll discover there's even more information available. But let's talk about customization, because this is where the system really adapts to you. Head up to column settings, and you can start shaping this view exactly the way you want it. Don't need a certain column, just make it disappear. Want to reorder things? Go ahead. Drag and rearrange until it makes sense for your workflow. Let's say, for example, you want the country column to be the very first thing you see. No problem, just shift it to the front. A couple of quick notes here. The top two options, select and pin, are locked in place. Those you can't move. They stay fixed no matter what. Country, on the other hand, is completely flexible. Move it wherever suits you best. Now, can you lock it in place yourself? No, that option isn't available. But you can hide it entirely just by toggling it off if you don't need it. And for certain columns, you even have the ability to resize them for better visibility, whatever's most comfortable for your eyes and your workflow. Here's the best part. You only need to set this up once. Whatever configuration you choose, it sticks. It stays exactly how you left it every time you come back. But also, do not forget about the filters. They are used to find the deals, and reorder them just the way you need, to never forget and never lose them out of sight. Actively use them. I encourage you, and I insist, because this is your working place, you need to arrange for your comfort. This was the process cleaned up and organized. Order of operations. Open the quote, and after long negotiation, and when you are 100% sure about each and every price, and you confirm them in written form with the client, only then you pass to confirmation of the items. This transfers the specific items into the purchase order, insert invoice and dimensions. Close the deal. Critical rule. Once the PO is closed, prices freeze permanently in the system. There is no going back. If you close early, by accident, you lose any ability to adjust prices, full stop. If it happens anyway, you have to rewind and correct it in the system before the client escalates further. Handling the client pushback is hard, but get ready to deal with it. The client won't care about internal process, and he'll say, "I haven't closed the deal. I want my price." Here's the reasoning to hold the line with. Why prices freeze at all? Prices move based on what's coming in. A batch bought at 200 units today can be sourced at a completely different cost tomorrow. That might be even €0 until the current stock will be sold. There's often a long gap between agreeing a price and pickup, and a lot can change in that window. Freezing the price at PO close is how we keep our promise to the client. It protects the price we quoted him. Not just us. We're not the only side expected to keep our word. If we're holding our price, he holds his. If the client won't budge, the only real lever left is to remove that specific item from the PO and cancel it, not renegotiate a frozen price. But before you do any modification, consider a team reminder. Do not give up the huge job you have done. Remember what closing that PO represents: the negotiation, the people who worked the deal before it got there. Giving in on a frozen price isn't just your call to make, it's giving up work the whole team put in. Hold the position. Strive to not deceive your team, and first of all, yourself. Closing the deal. To officially close a deal, you first need to upload the pro form while the PO status is on, or upload an invoice at the moment you think to close the deal. Definitely. Use the appropriate button at the top of the screen. Once the invoice has been uploaded, you will then have the option to change the deal status and close the deal. It means you now can see a PO number assigned, and also you can easily find all the deals in the order section. Here, you will be clear that everything listed is exactly the deals you have not yet provided dimensions, or it is items on its way. Also, in the section of invoices, you will be able to see the invoice. And also this deal in waiting status for warehouse to be received, and obviously all the dimensions and pickup address have been submitted. When you open the invoice section, you will see several fields that need to be completed. It is very important to enter all the information accurately, including the invoice number, the invoice date, the total amount, any relevant payment notes. You can also leave a note regarding the payment, especially if there is specific information that you want the person responsible for the payment to see. Once all this information has been entered correctly, the deal can move toward its final closure. All related information to closed deals can be consulted in accounting section as well. Please note, if you are having a pro form, you upload the pro form. But once the payment is done, and the pickup also, you will wait for the warehouse to accept and receive these items. You will want their confirmation. All the items arrived as agreed. Now, before we move on, let's pause on something important. Because up to this point, everything you've been doing has been building toward one moment. Everything you agreed with the client, the list of items, the quantities, the details, all of that has been sitting with you. It's yours to shape, yours to adjust. But that list has a destination. It has to reach your warehouse. Because it's your warehouse team who will actually receive those items, check them against what was promised, and confirm what showed up. And here's how that handoff happens. You click Close Deal. That single click is the moment the list becomes permanent. It locks. And at the same time, it becomes visible to the warehouse. For the first time, they can see it. So the moment those items physically arrive at your warehouse, your team already has the list in front of them. They can check it, they can revise it against what was actually delivered, and they can give you a real report. What was packed, what showed up, de facto. So think about closed deal not just as an ending. It's a handoff. It's the exact point where your work, negotiating, confirming, preparing, gets passed forward to the people who make sure it actually happens on the ground. That's your last step, and it's the one that makes everything else real. Now we can start reviewing the other sections of the CRM. For example, here we have My Queue, which reflects the calling application you are currently using, but in a much more organized way. For example, you can select the country you want to upload, and right here you have a search box where you can search for companies. Also, you have open box filters for searching companies, easy to use. Buying Studio is a tool designed to help you clarify the situation around part numbers and pricing. For example, you are speaking with a client and he says, "Last time I sold you this Lexmark and the price was 170 euros. You can simply go to Buying Studio, search for the specific part number, and check the previous prices to make sure that 170 euros was actually the price we agreed on. If you see that the price was 165 euros or 150 euros previously, you can use this information to negotiate. Yes, we accepted 170 euros last time, but that doesn't necessarily mean we want to keep increasing the price every time. There could have been specific circumstances behind the previous price. Maybe we had a particular request for these items, or perhaps the client offered a larger quantity, whereas the quantity now is much smaller and does not justify the same price. All these factors should be taken into consideration and brought to the table when speaking with the client, so there is room for negotiation and we can reach a price that makes sense for both sides. Let's talk about something every manager professional runs into eventually: using facts, not feelings, when a negotiation gets tough. Here's the situation. You've got history with a client. Maybe last time around, you agreed on A-grade product, and you priced it accordingly. But when the shipment actually arrived, it wasn't quite what was promised. Some B-grade, maybe even C or D mixed in. And that's a problem, because it affected how well you could sell it downstream. So what do you do the next time pricing comes up? This is where your CRM Buying Studio comes up. Your records, your documentation become your best friend. Before you sit down at the table, go back and check. What did we actually agree on, and what did we actually receive? Numbers and records speak louder than opinions. And once you've got the facts on your side, here's how you can bring it up. Calmly, professionally, no drama. Last time, we agreed on A-grade items, but what we received didn't quite match that. It affected our results on the sales side, so that's something we need to factor into today's conversation. Simple, direct. No finger pointing, just facts. Now, sometimes the client will play a card of their own. Maybe they'll say, "Well, another buyer is offering me a better price." Totally normal negotiation tactic. Here's a response that keeps your dignity intact without burning the relationship. "I completely understand. You should go with whatever works best for you. But from our side, the price has to reflect both the quality and the actual conditions of the deal. People must learn to be in charge and take commitment for what they say. And if you need, you just say, "Okay, last time you did not send the right grades, and we did not manage any way to sell it. The item in D grade is still there, and you can also invent that the AB grade, some of them are still there, and this is why you literally cannot increase the price." He will reply to you all the same that he has a customer, and you just tell him, "Okay, that's fine." Then you go with that customer, but you will feel sorry because this is not fair. Like you did your best, and you increased once, but somebody has to take charge of the loss now. And give him time to stay deceived, and you stay upset. And then anyways, tomorrow after tomorrow, if you see nothing has changed, just come back and saying, "Okay, I got the permission to increase the price," and go for it. Apparently we just got a client request for them. It's a part of negotiation. Don't be afraid to experiment. No pressure, no chasing, just holding your ground. And here's a bonus tip for you. Negotiation isn't always about winning it in one sitting. Sometimes the smartest move is to pause. Step back, gather your facts, and come back with a revised offer once the picture is clearer. Because at the end of the day, good negotiation isn't about who talks the loudest. It's about who comes prepared with the truth. Phrases like, "But I see it here on my end. The items are not sold. How can I bring in more? Who's going to sell them? There are many sellers offering them. Does anyone see your end except your manager?" That's the point. What you say becomes rule. You use it. The database stall. A cooling off technique. Here's a trick that saved more deals than you'd think. Using your own system, your database, your ERP, whatever you're pulling numbers from, as a tool to de-escalate. Picture this. You're on a call, and the client is pushing hard on price. You can feel it. That moment when frustration starts to spark, like a match about to catch fire. This is exactly the moment to step in and say, "Okay, give me just a second. Let me pull up that part number for you." Now here's the key. You don't rush. You take 20, 30 seconds narrating as you go. "I'm searching. It's coming up. One moment. The system's a bit slow today." You're not stalling for nothing. You're giving the client space to breathe. Because once someone crosses into anger, the conversation stops being a negotiation and starts being a fight. And fights don't close deals. That small pause, real or gently exaggerated, does something powerful. It interrupts the emotional spiral. By the time you come back with, "Here it is, found it," the temperature in the room has already dropped. And that's your opening. Now you deliver the value pitch. "I can see this item is in high demand. We're moving a lot of volume on it, which means we're buying it at better terms ourselves. My best price for you is XX. I genuinely suggest thinking it over." Notice what just happened. You didn't just quote a number. You gave a reason, you gave social proof, and you gave the client room to decide. Without pressure, without heat. That's the technique. A few seconds of calculated pause can save a negotiation that words alone can't.